Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Tinkelman, and tonight I have the pleasure of having Alexander Hansen with me, the president of the Lion 90.7. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
So the school year is just started, and this is the time for kids to start joining clubs and getting involved on campus. So as the president of a club yourself, can you give us some reasons why it's important to get involved early?
First of all, finding interests that match what you want to do. I'm not saying that, for example, if you're in the College of Liberal Arts and you're a political science major, that you have to go for, a specific politics-based club. But if you're able to match your interests as best as possible, so say I in high school had a podcast and I wanted to continue it in college, so I signed up for student radio and I hosted my own show. I think that's one of the easiest ways to continue doing things you love and develop that, and not to mention connections. I've made some great friends with artists and just hosts and other officers at the station too. So it's multifaceted.
Now, I find that interesting. You mentioned at the beginning just finding things that you're interested in. Would you recommend that, despite what your major is, you go and find things that may be unrelated, something, if you're a business major, would you consider fencing, something like that?
Oh, absolutely. My master's is in international affairs, and I am signed up for the Chocolate Milk Club here still. So I don't think it matters whatsoever. As long as you enjoy it, why not?
And what should students look for when they're discovering these clubs? Do you have any tips when they're searching for organizations to join?
The involvement fair would be my suggestion, just because there's so many in one spot. But otherwise, like I said, as long as you can find an interest that you want to hone in on or develop, or, say brewing club, for example. If you're just interested in, brewing beverages and things such as that, just find something that you love and go for it.
That's exactly, I think that's exactly right. That's definitely what I did. Going to the Lion 90.7, that's actually where I think we met for the first time. Mm-hmm. And, in that same vein, do you have any advice on how to start discovering these clubs? Where would you go if you wanted to find the list of clubs or just things that you might enjoy?
Well, off the top of my head, Willard Building, for example, they have bulletin boards and people will frequently just put up flyers there. But otherwise, there's Org Central. They have that new involvement app. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But there's a lot of different ways that you can find out. The station, for example, we have our officer lists just taped straight to the door so that way you can contact any one of us if you're interested. So it depends on the club, but in general, I'd say Org Central is always the safest bet. Mm-hmm. And then, word of mouth. If I have a friend that's in a club and they want me to join, that's the easiest way.
And so, as we mentioned before, you are the president of the Lion 90.7. How long have you been in that position?
So this is my third year in that position. I was an officer. I was the vice president of programming for 1 year, where I was in charge of the music decisions, and then I was just a regular member my freshman year.
Okay. And how long has this position, how has this position impacted your time at Penn State? That's certainly a very unique position to hold.
It is. It's lesser known just because, as interesting as it might sound, people tend to just, when we're in the hub, they look at Jamba Juice and then they'll look at the Thon store and they tend to skip us over. But, it's opened the door to so many. I've been privileged to meet bands and artists such as the comedian Michael Che, Shinedown, the Chainsmokers, Jason Aldean, 5 Seconds of Summer. I've had the privilege of working with Damon Sims and Barry Bram and a lot of people in student affairs. So just the connections that you can make off of that alone that I've been privileged enough to make, it's made it so worth it. And it's just been a really great time, not to mention the friends that I've made along the way too.
Yeah, absolutely. And why don't you tell us what you do at Lion 90.7? You have your own show, correct?
Yes, so my show is the Whiplash program. I tend to switch violently between a bunch of different genres of music. It's from 5 to 8 p.m. on Saturday evenings. I'm usually there for 5 to 7, and I'll pre-program music for the last hour so I can drive home and listen to my playlist. But, it's just so much fun. It really is. I enjoy every second of it, and president-wise, any duties with that, that's just mainly administrative work and working with officers and WPSU and student affairs when need be.
And that's, you're broadcasting to a very large number of people. That's your voice, your music going out there. That's got to make you at least a little bit vulnerable, right?
A little bit. I think one of the most difficult things for me, though, is I don't always have that person to look at. I don't have, a camera to look at, for example. I don't always have that reliable place to set my eyes. So sometimes my gaze just I'll wander around the hub, for example, and I'll just look around and I'll sometimes comment. One of the very first weeks of this semester, there was a kid in a gigantic inflatable gorilla suit. And it was like 6 feet tall, and I looked at him walk in, and his head was just barely clearing the ceiling of the hub. And I had someone call in and say that they were on their way to the hub to check it out. So, I mean, we broadcast to approximately like 125,000 people in the area. So it's really cool to know that people are listening to my voice. They call in and tell me what they like and don't like. So just the input from the community is an amazing thing.
So would you say it feels powerful for you? Because, I mean, you just mentioned yourself, that's a huge number of people that you're reaching at one time. I mean, would you say that offers you a lot of opportunity there?
I definitely think so. And especially with former members of the station that have gone on to other things like SiriusXM, MLB Network. I mean, that we've had success with that too. So we know that people are listening all over the country and the world.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you have been president for 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. How would you say that leadership position there has impacted you personally?
Oh, it's developed me as a leader. It's helped hone my communication skills. And when I was a member of Blue Band, I mean, time management is key. There is no way that with the amount of courses that I've had in my time here and the involvements that I have, whether it be Blue Band, the station, and a couple other clubs I'm involved in, I mean, time management is number one. That is king. There's no way I could get through a day without having a calendar.
And so time management, I mean, I feel like that's a huge thing for any student. Would you say being part of a club at all has helped with that?
Oh, 100%. Especially, again, just balancing a calendar, knowing when I have to do schoolwork versus I can go to a club event and I can have downtime and relax and enjoy myself.
And would you encourage students that are, first entering clubs, would you encourage them to seek these leadership positions, to put themselves out there and really try to get to where you've gotten?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anywhere at Penn State, you can get involved. There's so many clubs here. Like I said, there's even a chocolate milk club. You have so many options, and when you get into those leadership positions, you're going to meet so many great people, whether that be administrators or other students and your peers. It's so worth it. Not to mention it's a resume booster.
Yes, absolutely. And you mentioned I think the Chocolate Milk Club.
Yeah.
That's one I've never heard of, but I think that is just a testament to how incredibly expansive Penn State's opportunities are for clubs and organizations. Would you say that that list, that diversity, really makes it easier for students to find the things that they specifically enjoy?
Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. And not to mention, I mean, there's other opportunities too, going back to your question about getting involved in leadership positions. I mean, there's things like the Student Leadership Roundtable, where if you find a club you're passionate about, like I have, if you are in it long enough, you're able to go and get involved at higher levels and make more impact. So, absolutely.
So, Alex, we're going to have to start wrapping it up here, but I do want to ask one final question. For any students who may be a little hesitant to join clubs, maybe they're just not sure where they stand yet, what advice would you give them so they can finally go out there, really reach out and get involved?
Oh, just do it. Without a doubt in my mind, just do it. Much like Nike says. I mean, just to put yourself out there is worth it, and you'll make some of your best friends in your life. I have with former officers that I've worked with. I have with so many different people in any club I've been a part of. So I highly recommend.
Yeah, I agree. It's very powerful to really put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Also, we're not endorsed by Nike. Want to put
well, very true.
For the audience out there, I want to make that
very
clear.
Very true.
Well, Alex, thank you so much for your time tonight. We're really happy that you came in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It was amazing to have you with us. Now, next up, Max and Hannah will bring us the latest news from across the nation. We will be right back.